Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya.
Rama 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 Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Ashram மறுபடியும் it's no small grace that we were able to sing together right in the shrine of Bhagwan, his powerful Nama. Let us celebrate this blessing and pray for continuation of this without the world having to go through a situation like this. Now, we have been going through some scenes, some glimpses of Bhagwan's satsang at Sannadhi Street House. Now today we shall see once again. It was 1980. Shri Agaram Jayaraman had come to Sannadhi Street House and Bhagwan had kept, somebody had come and given 4 mangoes. Bhagwan was always fond of mangoes, so as soon as some people brought it, he had some of them cut and distributed, but he kept some in a corner. Soon Agaram Jayaraman came, and then immediately Bhagwan said, you cut these mangoes also, let's distribute. So Agaram Jayaraman took a banana leaf and after washing the mangoes, he cut them into pieces. And he and Bhagwan shared. And that is when Bhagwan said, these mangoes help this beggar very much. Again, what he really meant by that, we do not know. Sometimes, there are some strange scenes. It seems one Agaram Jayaraman had just filled up his stomach on the way from Chennai to Tiruvannamalai. But as soon as he came to Bhagwan's Sannadhi Street house, Bhagwan kept 4 chapatis in front of him and said, Jayarama, Jayarama, please take this. Jayarama didn't know what to say because His tummy was too full already. And not one or two or three, but 4 chapatis with sabji. But Bhagwan said, insisted, Jairama, this beggar cannot take it, but you can take it, Jairama. Take it, Jairama. And then Jairaman says, by the grace of Bhagwan, he was able to stomach it. And then Bhagwan said, Jairama, you have done Father's work, Jairama. You have helped this beggar. You have done Father's work. This beggar thanks you, Jairama. Thank you for doing Father's work. Just imagine, just gobbling up 4 chapatis amounts to doing Father's work. Such strange scenes are often seen in the diary of Jairaman. Now, Dandapani Shastrigal had come to see Bhagwan. Dandapani Shastrigal, Bhagwan used to say, in the beginning, none of the Brahmins, after seeing Bhagwan's dirty and torn clothes, and he's not bathing at all, and added to all that, smoking, they were put off. And none of them used to come and prostrate before him. They could not accept him. Dandapani Shastrigal was the first Shastri, first Brahmin, who came straight to Bhagwan and prostrated on the floor. And what was more, he was coming very often to see Bhagwan. Bhagwan also indulged him. And that day, when Dandapani Shastrigal came, Bhagwan found some grapes. Immediately he gave it to Shastrigal and said, you wash that and you have it. It was the habit of Shastri to give somebody something and then eat it, especially when they were present. So he was hesitant, despite Bhagwan saying it. Immediately Bhagwan said, okay, you take most of it and give us a little. Bhagwan was also careful not to break the Vedic rules observed by Brahmins. After that, Bhagwan started to smoke, and Dandapani Shastrigal wanted to narrate some of his experiences with Bhagwan to those present. So Agaram Jairaman told Bhagwan that Dandapani Shastrigal wanted to narrate some of his experiences to the people present. Bhagwan nodded with a smile, and then Dandapani Shastrigal started. He said, when he was present, once 2 foreigners had come to have darshan of Bhagwan, and they were pestering, literally insisting, pestering Bhagwan to give them guidance. They said they wanted to settle down in India for their spiritual progress, but they had no idea where to settle down. They wanted Bhagwan to guide them. Bhagwan said, oh, this beggar also doesn't know what is good for you. You ask some great people, they would be able to tell you. But still they persisted. And then Bhagwan said, okay, there is Ramanashramam here in Tiruvannamalai, Sri Aurobindo Ashram there in Pondicherry. You can try some of these ashrams. You may find it fitting. Somehow they were not convinced. They said, Swami, we want you to mention to us specifically where we could sit down. We want a specific reply from you, a specific blessing from you, so that we would know for sure this is where we have to stay for our spiritual progress. Then Bhagwan looked at them straight and said, "Oh, in which case you people can go to Calcutta, go to Ramakrishna Ashram there and settle down. That would be very good for your progress." As soon as he said it, the two foreigners got up, prostrated before him, and then with folded hands said, "Swami, 1 week before we had been in Calcutta, and there, after seeing Ramakrishna Ashram there, we wanted to settle down there. In fact, we wrote to the ashram people that we would like to stay there for our spiritual progress. We wrote and gave them. We liked the place, we wanted to settle down there. But then we wanted to come to you and make sure that this was the right place for us. We wanted your approval for that, Swami. And you have given exactly that." And then, with great appreciation, adoration, and humility, the foreigners prostrated before him and left. And then Dandapani Shastrigal went on to narrate another one. He said his brother passed away, so it became his responsibility to look after his children also. Some children were already studying in his son-in-law's place in Tiruvannamalai. His brother had a daughter. Dandapani Shastrigal did not know where to leave her. That little girl had to study in school, and she had to be settled nicely for her studies. But then, at that moment, his son-in-law was not in a position to keep anybody in his house. So he was very hesitant and in confusion as to where to settle her down. He rushed to Bhagwan, and then he said, "Look, my niece has to be settled in some house in Tiruvannamalai itself so that she can pursue her studies." And then he mentioned 1 or 2 people, like the job typist, Kittu Iyer, another person. Somehow Bhagwan did not answer him at all. He kept quiet, and finally he said, "You don't leave your little daughter, your brother's daughter, with any family in Tiruvannamalai. Don't worry, my father will settle this issue nicely, fittingly." He blessed him, and the very next day, a teacher from a nearby village, a village near Tiruvannamalai, he was already working as a teacher in the school, and he came to see Dandapani Shastrigal. Dandapani Shastrigal was the Prohit, the Acharya for the teacher's family. And so, when Dandapani mentioned this problem, the teacher from the village was more than willing to accommodate his niece, Dandapani Shastrigal's niece, for her studies in the school. So Dandapani Shastrigal said, "When we leave an issue to Bhagwan, whatever he does is perfect. Everything settles down nicely. Had it been something like what I thought with Kittu Iyer or someone, it would have been very different. Later on I could see it from the consequences, from the succession of events that happened. And then he went on to give the narration of another incident. This time he said, Kittu Iyer of Tiruvannamalai, he was living with his brother in Tiruvannamalai. On one day, his brother had to go to Chennai and he fell sick there. So Kittu Iyer was living in Tiruvannamalai. At the time, he got a telegram from somebody from Erode. Kittu Iyer had nursed a secret desire to leave his brother and settle down in Erode. This telegram said that he should come to Erode immediately on some work. So he just took it to Bhagwan and showed him. Bhagwan, being Bhagwan, no detail could ever escape his very attentive eye. So he said, oh, this beggar doesn't understand this telegram. Someone is asking Kittu Iyer to come to Erode, probably for settling down. But this beggar doesn't understand why. And then he kept passing it on to those people around. Do you understand what this means? Do you understand what this means? They all simply said that somebody wants Kittu Iyer to come to Erode. Then Bhagwan said, this beggar feels that Kittu Iyer should not leave Tiruvannamalai. There is no need for him to go to Erode. The very next day was the day Kittu Iyer's brother fell sick in Chennai, in Madras. So Kittu Iyer had to rush to Madras to look after his brother there. And after that his brother passed away. Kittu Iyer knew instantly why Bhagwan said that he should stay only in Tiruvannamalai. He was also very happy that he could be with his brother when he fell sick. He could look after his brother very well, and he was with him when the brother passed away. But Bhagwan had to play a leela before he decided it for him. And then Dandapani Shastrigal said, gave one more narration. He said that once it happened, some people had come to see Bhagwan in Sannadhi Street House. At the time, the Dandapani Shastrigal was also present, but he was in great confusion. Bhagwan played a leela. Bhagwan asked him, do you remember the name of your niece whom you are very fond of? Dandapani Desigar, he thought and thought and thought. Suddenly the name slipped out. He could not remember the name of his niece he was so fond of. Then Bhagwan said, he started to ask the names of some of his relatives, his brother's name, brother's children's name, one after the other, brother's wife's name. And after several such names, he said, now you tell me, can you remember the name of your niece? But much as he tried, Shastrigal could not recall the name of his niece. What a strange thing. How can anybody forget the name? Probably he had some problem. It happens that when we get old, the blood circulation to the brain becomes less. It could result in sudden loss of memory. Then Bhagwan called him near. He merely touched Dandapani Shastrigal's hand and said, Shastrigal, please tell me the name of your niece. And suddenly it came. He remembered in a flash, oh, it is Vijaya. A touch from Bhagwan's hand, the memory returned. So you see, these give us glimpses of how he conducted his spiritual ministry in those days. Not many people used to come to him. It was mostly reading articles, reading poems. But many people, the higher officials used to come at that time, from judiciary and the police department and the politicians also. And the higher officials from Delhi also used to visit Bhagwan. Much of it, his conversation, have been lost to us. But those people, the simple, humble people who visited him at that time, they could report something of what he said. Those are the glimpses we have. Bhagwan's leelas are continuing, even though he is not in the body. We could still feel his touch. You just have to come to the ashram. When the corona period is gone, you could go near and touch the feet of Bhagwan. And if you see him live, you will also be able to feel the touch of his feet. When you touch his feet, you could very well feel that you are touching his flesh and blood feet. Sometimes it's some electrical shock. Sometimes it feels so soft that you get the feeling you are touching his flesh and blood feet. Bhagwan often said, do not treat the deities in the temple sanctum sanctorium as mere statues. They are so alive. They live, they breathe and live and grant your prayers. Do not ever treat any of the deities in any of the temples as just stone images. And here, Bhagwan, about his own image, he said, do not think that this statue is the statue of this Veda. This is no statue. This is verily my Father himself. And those of you who come near and make your prayer here will be attended to. My Father will help your prayer. Even the expressions on the face of this Murti will change if you observe closely, depending upon the environment. Now to this Bhagwan we shall submit today's prayers. Bhagwan, every day, both morning and evening, we are submitting our prayer compulsively now. And only you can come to our rescue. Please free the world from the dreadful clutches of this virus and its variants. Please bring back normalcy to the world again. Let the children go to school, the students to their colleges, and the elders to the offices, to the companies. We beg you again and again, more than the disease, deadlier than the disease is the fear, the panic in the hearts of people. Only you can remove them. Kindly uproot this panic and other negative thoughts. And Bhagwan, stop the rapid spread of the disease. Enter those medicines and make them work. And what is more, please Bhagwan, make it available to all the people who need it badly. And all those great people who are struggling day and night, laboring in order to save others' lives. Please give them protection and a lift to our economy. Above all, again and again, we keep pleading with you for constant remembrance of your name. You have said no single nama goes waste. Every nama does its work. Every nama people utter not only helps the individuals, but also the people around. It helps the world, and it helps this beggar's work, his father's work. So know that when you chant the name, you are helping Bhagwan's father's work. It is not for nothing that we are merely singing the name with lips. No matter how we pronounce, how we sing, every one of them helps Bhagwan's work. A little return for all that he does. And what's more, every nama is Nami himself. He enters. He is immediately present in us with all his vibrations. And he knows our thoughts and feelings and prayers. And Bhagwan, give us the right attitude to life, the attitude of being good instruments in your hands, and that with gratitude. And bless us to see only your grace in everything and in everyone. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.